Imagine you are walking through a crowded marketplace. The noise of the city is deafening, shouting merchants, rumbling carts, the endless hum of conversation. Suddenly, a stranger bumps into you, hard. Before you can regain your balance, they turn and spit a word at you, a sharp, ugly word, a word designed to hurt. In that microsecond, what happens inside you? You feel the heat rise in your chest, your heart rate spikes, the muscles in your jaw tighten. It feels as though a physical weapon has pierced your skin. Your mind immediately begins to race, drafting a counterattack, searching for a defense, or sinking into a pit of shame. You have been hit, you have been wounded, and for the rest of the day, perhaps the rest of the week, you will carry that moment with you. You will replay the scene in the shower. You will reconstruct the argument in your car. You will let that stranger live rent-free in the sanctuary of your mind. But why? The stranger did not touch you with a blade. They did not steal your purse. They simply vibrated the air with their vocal cords. Sound waves traveled through the space between you, entered your ears, and were decoded by your brain. Physically, you are unharmed, and yet you are in agony. This is the great paradox of the human condition. We are the most dominant species on the planet, capable of surviving ice ages and crossing oceans. Yet we are brought to our knees by a single sentence. We are fragile. We take things personally because we have convinced ourselves that our worth is something that is negotiated externally, that who we are depends on who they say we are. 2,000 years ago, a man named Cato the Younger was walking through the Roman Forum when a rival, in a fit of rage, struck him in the face. Cato was a powerful man, a senator, a Stoic. He could have had the man killed. He could have ruined him. The crowd gasped, waiting for the retaliation. But Cato did not strike back. He did not scream. He did not even frown. When the man, terrified by his own action, began to apologize profusely, Cato simply looked at him and said, "I do not remember being hit." He refused to acknowledge the insult as a reality. He refused to accept the gift of anger. He possessed what the Stoics called the Inner Citadel, a fortress of the mind so impenetrable that the arrows of the world simply shattered against its walls. To stop taking things personally is not to become a robot. It is not to suppress your emotions until you explode. It is to undergo a fundamental shift in how you view reality. It is to build that shield. And to do that, we must dissect the anatomy of an insult, layer by layer, using the scalpel of Stoic philosophy. The first realization we must make is that an insult is never about you. It is always, without exception, about the person delivering it. Consider the source. When someone lashes out at you, when a boss screams about a deadline, when a partner criticizes your character, when a commenter online mocks your work, what are you actually seeing? You are not seeing a reflection of your own inadequacy. You are seeing a portrait of their internal state. Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, faced constant betrayal, criticism, and incompetence from his subjects. He wrote in his private journals not to complain, but to remind himself of the nature of these people. "When you wake up in the morning," he wrote, "tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." He did not say this to be cynical. He said it to be prepared. He understood that people act out of their own suffering and ignorance. A happy person does not insult others. A secure person does not need to belittle you to feel tall. Cruelty is a symptom of weakness, not power. When someone insults you, they are revealing their own wounds. They are showing you that they lack self-control, that they are ruled by their passions, that they are suffering. If you were walking down the street and the man stepped on your foot, you might be angry. But if you looked up and realized the man was blind, your anger would instantly vanish, replaced by pity or understanding. You would realize it wasn't personal. It was a result of his condition. The Stoics argue that we are all blind in some way. The person who insults you is blind to the truth of shared humanity. They are blind to their own reason. Why be angry at a blind man for stumbling? When you take it personally, you are accepting their delusion as your reality. You are agreeing with them. You are saying, yes, your opinion of me defines me. But when you see their behavior as a symptom of their own disease, you can look at them with detachment. You can observe their rage the way a doctor observes a fever, as a phenomenon to be understood, not a judgment to be accepted. But there is a deeper layer here. Often, we take things personally because a part of us fears that the insult is true. Epictetus, the crippled slave turned philosopher, was a master of the ego. He taught that there is only one way to be invincible, to have nothing to defend. If someone insults you, he suggested, perform a simple truth test. If what they say is true, then it is not an insult, it is a correction. If someone tells you that you are late, and you are indeed late, why be offended? They have simply stated a fact. You should thank them for the reminder and correct your behavior. Truth cannot hurt you. It can only help you. However, if what they say is false, then they are the ones who are mistaken. They are the ones wandering in error. If someone calls you a thief and you have stolen nothing, they are fighting a phantom. They are angry at a version of you that does not exist. Why should you be upset that someone is yelling at a ghost? Epictetus went even further. He used to say, if you hear that someone is speaking ill of you, do not defend yourself against what they say. Instead, answer, he does not know my other faults, or he would not have mentioned only these. This is the ultimate power move. It is supreme humility. By accepting that you are flawed, as all humans are, you disarm the attacker. You cannot humiliate a man who has already accepted his own humanity. You cannot expose a man who has nothing to hide. The person who takes things personally is usually trying to protect an image, a painted mask of perfection. They are terrified that the mask will crack. The Stoic takes off the mask. They say, I am human. I am flawed. I am working on it. Your words cannot reveal anything I do not already know. Let us go deeper into the mechanics of this shield. How do we actually apply this in the heat of the moment? We must understand the concept of assent. The Stoics believed that between the event, the insult, and the reaction, the anger, there is a gap. A tiny, imperceptible space. In that space lies our freedom. When someone insults you, your mind receives a piece of data. This person called me a failure. That is the impression. But then, your mind adds a second layer, a judgment. And that is bad. That hurts. I must fight back. The Stoic learns to catch the mind in that gap. You must strip the event of the judgment. You must look at the words nakedly. What are they? They are vibrations of air. They are pixels on a screen. They are sounds. Do sounds have the power to hurt a soul? Can a vibration break a bone? No. Only your assent, your agreement that this is hurtful, can cause the pain. Imagine you are standing on the shore of a vast ocean. You are a massive, jagged cliff of rock. The waves crash against you. They foam, they roar, they slap the stone with tremendous force. But the cliff does not get angry. The cliff does not yell back at the sea. It simply stands. It endures. And eventually, the water falls back into the deep, leaving the stone unchanged. Marcus Aurelius loved this metaphor. "Be like the cliff against which the waves continually break," he wrote. "It stands firm and tames the fury of the water around it." When you take things personally, you are not the cliff, you are the sand. You are shifted and shaped by every tide. You have no core. To build the Stoic shield is to calcify your inner character so that you become the cliff. You act according to your own code, regardless of how the water behaves. This leads us to the most uncomfortable truth of all. The reason we take things personally is that we are addicted to external validation. We are slaves to the opinions of others. We live in a society that is designed to maximize this slavery. Social media is a machine built to quantify validation. Likes, views, comments, these are the currencies of our self-worth. When the number goes up, we feel good. When the number goes down, or when a comment turns sour, we collapse. We have outsourced our happiness to a crowd of strangers. The Stoic fights to reclaim ownership of the self. This is what they called autarkia, self-sufficiency. Ask yourself, do you know who you are? Do you know your own values? Do you know what is good and what is evil? If you know these things, why do you need a stranger to confirm them? If you have a gold coin in your pocket and a stranger walks up to you and tells you it is a worthless piece of lead, does the coin change? Does it lose its value? No, it remains gold. Its nature is independent of the opinion of the observer. You are the gold coin. Your value is inherent. It comes from your capacity for reason, for kindness, for courage. It does not come from the applause of the audience. When you truly understand this, insults become almost comical. It is like a person screaming at a tree for being too green. Their screaming does not change the nature of the tree. It only makes the person hoarse. But there is a final, darker element to the Stoic shield. It is the contemplation of impermanence. Why do we care so much about what people think? Because we think it matters. We think our reputation is permanent. We think this moment is monumental. Marcus Aurelius would often zoom out. He would look at the timeline of history. He would look at the stars. Soon, he wrote, you will have forgotten the world, and the world will have forgotten you. Think of all the people who insulted Julius Caesar. Think of the petty arguments that happened in the streets of ancient Athens. Think of the gossip, the slander, the outrage of the year 1600. Where is it now? It is dust. The people who spoke the insults are dead. The people who were insulted are dead. The memories are gone. The anger has evaporated into the void. We are all acting out a brief, flickering play on a tiny stage. We are here for a heartbeat, and then we are gone. Do you really want to spend your precious, finite seconds on this earth stewing in anger because someone was rude to you in traffic? Do you want to waste your life worrying about the opinion of a person who will be buried in the ground alongside you? Taking things personally is a form of arrogance. It is the belief that you are the center of the universe, that everything that happens is happening to you. It assumes that you are the main character and everyone else is a supporting actor in your drama. Stoicism asks you to step off the stage, join the audience, watch the play. When you detach, you can see the patterns. You see that the person who attacked you is actually attacking a projection of their own father, or their own insecurity, or their own fear. You just happened to be standing in the line of fire. It wasn't about you. It never was. So how do we practice this tomorrow? How do we build the shield? The next time you feel that sting, that heat rising in your chest, pause. Stop the movie. Do not speak, do not type. Take a breath and visualize the second arrow. The first arrow was the insult. That was out of your control. It has already landed. But the second arrow is your reaction. That is the one you are holding in your hand, ready to stab yourself with it. Put the arrow down. Look at the person who insulted you. Deconstruct them. See them not as a monster, but as a flawed, suffering human being acting out of ignorance. Say to yourself, the boar is acting like a boor. Then check the truth. Is there a lesson here? If yes, take it. If no, discard it like a piece of trash blowing in the wind. And finally, remember the cliff. Feel your feet on the ground. Remember that your worth is locked safely inside the inner citadel, where their words cannot reach. You are the gold coin. You are the observer. It takes practice. You will fail. You will get angry. You will lose your temper. That is okay. You are human. But every time you manage to catch the reaction, every time you manage to smile at an insult instead of raging at it, you are adding a brick to the fortress. And one day you will walk through the marketplace and someone will bump into you. They will spit their words at you, and you will keep walking. Your pulse will not rise. Your mind will not race. You will not remember being hit. You will be free. We have to ask ourselves, though, what happens when the insult doesn't come from a stranger? What happens when it comes from someone we love? It is one thing to be a cliff against the waves of anonymous internet comments or a rude co-worker. It is another thing entirely when the water eroding you is your own family, a parent, a spouse, a child. This is where Stoicism faces its ultimate test. It is easy to be indifferent to people who don't matter. But how do we shield ourselves from the people who hold the keys to our heart? The Stoics tell us that the principle remains exactly the same, but the application requires even more compassion. When a loved one lashes out, it usually triggers a deeper wound, betrayal. We think, I love you, so you should treat me with kindness. We have a contract in our heads, and when they break that contract, we don't just feel insulted, we feel unsafe. But Epictetus would remind us of the handle metaphor. He said, everything has two handles, one by which it may be borne, and one by which it cannot. If your brother wrongs you, do not grab the situation by the handle of, he wronged me. That handle is weak, it will break, it will lead to resentment. Instead, grab it by the other handle. He is my brother, we were raised together. This doesn't mean you accept abuse. It doesn't mean you become a doormat. Stoicism is often confused with passivity, but that is a grave mistake. A Stoic sets boundaries. A Stoic acts with justice. But a Stoic sets those boundaries without hate. You can say to a partner, I will not accept being spoken to that way, while remaining completely calm. In fact, your boundary is stronger when it is calm. When you scream back, you are playing their game. You are in the mud with them. When you speak calmly, you are standing on dry land, extending a hand to pull them out. If you take their anger personally, You become a mirror reflecting their chaos back at them. The argument escalates, the words get sharper. But if you refuse to take it personally, if you see their anger as a storm passing through their mind, you can become the anchor. You can de-escalate the room simply by not vibrating at their frequency. There is a powerful concept in modern psychology that aligns perfectly with this ancient wisdom: differentiation. Differentiation is the ability to be close to others without being consumed by them. It is the ability to say, "This is where I end and you begin." The person who takes everything personally has poor differentiation. They are enmeshed. If their partner is sad, they are crushed. If their partner is angry, they are defensive. Their emotional skin is fused with the other person. The Stoic practices radical differentiation. I am responsible for my own mind. You are responsible for yours. This sounds cold, but it is actually the most loving thing you can do. Because only when you are not drowning in someone else's emotions can you actually help them swim. Think of a lifeguard. If a drowning person is thrashing and screaming in the water, the lifeguard does not jump in and start thrashing and screaming with them. That would be taking it personally. That would be empathy without wisdom. Both would drown. The lifeguard stays calm. The lifeguard maintains a strong, separate stance so they have the leverage to save the person. When you stop taking your loved one's moods personally, you become that lifeguard. You become the rock they can grab onto. But let's be honest, the hardest person to stop taking personally is yourself. We are often our own worst bully. We insult ourselves all day long. You're an idiot. You messed that up. You're awkward. Nobody likes you. If a stranger talked to you the way you talk to yourself, you would file a restraining order. This internal critic is the ultimate source of our fragility. Because we are already so beaten down by our own inner voice, we have no armor left for the outside world. One negative comment from a boss tips us over the edge because it confirms what we are already whispering in the dark. Stoicism demands that we treat ourselves with the same objectivity we apply to others. When you catch yourself spiraling into self-insult, apply the truth test. I am an idiot. Is that objectively true? Or did I just make a mistake on a spreadsheet? A mistake is an event. Idiot is a judgment. I failed at this task is a fact. I am a failure is a story. You must become the guardian of your own inner citadel. You must evict the toxic tenant living in your head. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly, reverence your faculty of judgment. Do not pollute your own mind with false narratives of worthlessness. If you can stop taking yourself so personally, if you can laugh at your own mistakes, if you can accept your own flaws without shame, then the insults of others lose their power completely. They cannot hurt you because you are no longer hurting yourself. So, this is the path. It is not an easy one. It is a daily war against our biological programming. We are wired to care. We are wired to fit in. We are wired to react. But we are also wired for reason. We are the only creature that can look at an emotion and say, "No, I choose a different way." Tomorrow, the world will test you. It is guaranteed. Someone will cut you off. Someone will overlook your work. Someone will say something thoughtless. And in that moment, you will have a choice. You can be the leaf blown by the wind, fragile and reactive, turning every gust of air into a personal tragedy. Or you can be the cliff. You can stand firm. You can look at the chaos of the world with a steady eye. You can realize that your worth is not up for negotiation. The shield is heavy. It takes strength to lift it. But once you do, you will realize that you are not walking through a battlefield anymore. You are walking through a life that belongs, finally and completely, to you. The choice is yours.